to the GamesRadar PAX East 2020 live stream. I'm James.
I'm Alyssa.
I'm Craig.
And that's Craig. And we are going to talk about Cloudpunk, right?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
that's
happy
right.
to
Thanks for coming. Where should we start with Cloudpunk? Like, how do you want to start?
So I could give you a bit of a sort of breakdown of what the game is, I guess. It's a sort of open world, sort of cyberpunk, story-driven adventure. So you play as a sort of courier driver for a sort of semi-illegal delivery company, and it's your first night on the job. So it's quite a large world you can explore. I mean, in terms of the footage today, it's the first 10 minutes of the game, and then it moves into another mission that showcases more sort of player choices,
my name is Rania.
But this is Rania. It's your first night on the job,
I'm the new driver.
You're now driving to your first sort of delivery pickup, I guess.
He was driver 14F.
But yeah, it's sort of quite a wide, spanning, open world environment.
He retired last month.
Developers have made this sort of quite unique voxel style with the artwork across the whole game, and verticality of it, I guess it's quite a large part as well. You can go quite deep into the sort of underlaying, more grittier parts of the world, but it's quite neon streets, big sort of high tower-rise areas that you can explore as well.
Okay, I guess.
So yeah, it's quite a wide-spanning open world really, which you can explore.
Cool. This sort of art style, or like Blade Runner inspired neon kind of thing, seems to be a thing for 2020.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a reason behind that? Why has everyone suddenly gone, that's going to be the style of our game?
I don't know. I mean, obviously there's games like Cyberpunk, which is got quite a large action focus, I guess. With what we're trying to do here, we're trying to, you're an ordinary person, you're just living in this cyberpunk world over the course of one evening. I think our inspirations were films like Die Hard and games like Arkham Asylum, where it all takes place in quite a short amount of time. So we're trying to sort of fit in a big story, a big cyberpunk story, in quite a short, condensed evening in the city. But yeah, we were inspired by films like Blade Runner, and I think, you know, that sort of film is sort of a timeless classic really, and it's, you know, what we're inspired by in terms of the soundtrack, which is quite a sort of moody electronic type composition across the whole game. But yeah, we do take a lot of inspirations from Blade Runner and those types of things really.
That's
yeah.
Cool. So you said it takes place all in one night?
Yeah, all in one night. Yeah, so you start off with your first job, and then that sort of evolves and develops as you go along, as well as a sort of main story, which is about 8 hours. There's between 30 and 40 different characters, which you can just sort of meet and get to know, and there's lots of weird and wonderful people you can meet in the world, and it's just sort of very narrative focused, but very much about sort of player choice as well. So each mission you'll have objectives where you can decide to deliver a package one way or the other, because some are, I guess, more suspicious than others, some of these packages, and it's that moral decision which you have to make of, do I want to deliver it here or there, and that plays in consequences throughout the sort of story and how the characters react to you and that sort of thing. So
you can play this kind of as a bad guy, is what you're saying?
You can do, yeah. You can sort of mold your own way, mold your own path into the game, I guess, in a way, with each mission, and sort of, yeah, it can sort of be interpretation of how you want it to play out, really. So yeah.
Is your aim to be like a good delivery driver? Is that like, you know, get the packages there on time, don't drop any?
You can do that, yeah, if you want to, but there's certain, which will be showcased in this other mission, there's a package you deliver which you could do as you're told, or you could do something else, which might not go down well with Cloudpunk, the delivery company, but they could cause some repercussions later on in the game, depending on what you want to do with it, I guess. Yeah.
And we've just seen a sort of upgrade station there. Is that something that you can you modify your like ship? Is that what we're calling them? Are they ships?
It's a hover, it's called, but there's multiple different variations which will be in the final game, multiple different cars, but yeah, you can upgrade the vehicle, you can customize it. You see the traces on the end there, they can go different colors based on the ones you decide to purchase, and obviously because it's such a large world, there is actually sort of a speed boost upgrade where you can zip around the city a bit quicker, because it can sometimes take a bit of time to get from A to B. But yeah, there's a lot of customization involved on the vehicle side of things, and you can also damage the vehicle, which will need to be repaired as you go along as well.
I was gonna ask you, are there collision issues here?
Yeah, because it's so vertical, and it takes a bit of time to maybe get to grips with how the sort of traffic works maybe a bit. So you will have to, get that fixed if you collide a bit too much. But fuel also comes into the car as well, so you can stop off at fuel stations as you go and sort of top up as you're delivering on missions and that sort of thing. So yeah, we want to try and bring in some good customization on the car side, as well as half the game is on foot as well. So half of the game is going to be where you're driving around delivering missions, but the other half is very much focused on you exploring around the city, meeting new people. You've got your own player apartment where you can customize and sort of add new bits of furniture and that sort of thing, just to give you a bit of money. With the money you earn is actually used on things and that sort of thing. But yeah, this is just going into the sort of one of the first big sort of open areas, I guess, where you can explore on foot. You've got to park in these specific parking spots, but this is where you're going to be sort of meeting new characters and finding out new bits about the story and that sort of thing. So we're mixing those sorts together.
This is pretty much the beginning of the game, right?
Yeah, this is the first 10 minutes, so here you can sort of explore around and pick up new items, and these sort of items can relate to different aspects of the story as well. Characters you meet, you might have to give them these items, or there's lots of things you can pick up and collect as you sort of go through the world, I guess. But yeah, this is an example here of a sort of side character, Trixie Dio, who does come up later in the main story, but there's lots of these different people that you can just sort of speak to as you're walking around and find out their story and get yourself more immersed in the city of Navalis and what that's about, really, I guess. Yeah.
Cool.
Are those, would they lead to side missions? Are there like side deliveries that you have to do, or other tasks?
Yeah, so there's lots of side missions in the game. I think there's about 35 different characters that you can sort of meet and talk to as you're sort of traveling around. So we want to try and have a main story component, but also, give you sort of an option to, explore and do your own thing, I guess, at the same time as well. And there's a lot of sort of vertical aspects in the sort of on-foot areas as well, so you can go up in these sort of elevators and find like shops and places to buy food and that sort of thing, and just sort of explore as you sort of will, I guess, really around the world as you go. Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything, but is the weapons? Do you eventually get guns?
No, with this.
So violent.
It's an important question. You gotta know.
No, it's a fair question, but I think with this particular game, it's more about the story rather than
that's fine.
Combat. Yeah, it's not really Crazy Taxi or anything like that. It's more focused on you're an ordinary person living in this city, and you've got to make some more decisions on how you want to play about it, but there's no combat or anything like that in the game. It's focused more on the characters and how they develop around you. So I think games like Kentucky Route Zero and Firewatch and games like that were big inspirations for the developers on what sort of path they wanted to go down with it.
Yeah, I quite like that. I quite like a game that's just story driven.
Yeah.
You just have to concentrate on and explore and work out what's going on in the world.
Yeah, well, we felt there was a lot of cyberpunk games out there where you could, shoot and have more of an action focus, but we wanted to make one which is you're just living in the city and just experiencing that one night there, and it's up to you how you want to just explore or meet people or, just do your own thing really in the city.
It's kind of like Fifth Element, Corbin Dallas vibes,
Before he met
before,
the Fifth Element.
Yeah, before that bit, when he's just a taxi driver,
Yeah, a lot of people who have seen it so far have took inspiration, I guess, from the Fifth Element, which, old films like that and Blade Runner, which I mentioned before, are all sort of intertwined into how Iron Lands have put the game together, really, I guess, yeah.
It's sad that we're calling The Fifth Element an old film now. I remember that.
No, we can't get started on our age now. It's too early.
I can't think about that right now.
No, I'm not ready.
Okay, fine.
Is there more? Can you have more than one mission going at a time, or is it just kind of you have to deliver one thing, then you can deliver the next, or is it kind of like you can stack up deliveries that you need to be doing?
Yeah, certain side missions can sort of stack up, I guess. There's certain missions where you'll just come across someone in the world and start
But the
talking
story
to them.
missions have to be complete the next. And
Yeah, but the story missions follows sort of a set path with Control, who was at the start of the game. He's like your in-car handler who sort of guides you through a lot of the main story. But yeah, a lot of the side stuff can be done as you please, really, as you sort of, just walking through the world, really, I guess. Yeah.
And it's 8 hours of like in-game time, I guess, right? A night to a day.
Yeah.
Is that almost real time in terms of like what you're doing? Or is this going to be like as you go through it gets later in the night and eventually becomes, I'm assuming, daytime or not?
Yeah. In terms of real time, I guess 8 hours is more of just how long it will take to finish the main story. There's no sort of correlation between those two specific times, but as the story develops, you'll find out more of why it's only over the course of one evening and what the sort of main sort of story is about, really, I guess, which I guess we're not spoiling too much in this initial preview, but it's more just a flavour, I guess, of the world and that sort of thing.
So where are we now? What are we heading towards?
This is the Marrow now. This is just leaving this particular mission, and now we're going to move into a mission slightly later in the game, and this sort of showcases the different player decisions and just showcasing a bit more of that narrative aspect, which hasn't been shown before in the game. But Control, your in-game handler, will be giving you a mission, and you'll have some choices that can sort of affect how the game plays out. But the world's sort of split into sort of 7 different zones, and it's quite a large sort of varied type. There's lots of varied type areas. I mean, inspirations like from Tokyo to Hong Kong were big inspirations for the developers in terms of how they built the world, and there's areas which are more underground, which you can explore on foot, but also areas which are more higher in the sky, these sort of spire open world type areas, which are more in the clouds. So we wanted to give you quite a sort of varied place to sort of explore and have a look around, I guess, really.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
How does the social structure work? Is like the people who don't have a lot of money live at the bottom of the world?
That's what I was going to ask.
Is it?
Oh my god, literally, exactly.
Come on now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, there's places like the Marrow, which is, I guess, more of a grungier type area, and then there's the more high-rise Midtown area, which is a lot of where the main story takes place. But yeah, there's lots of sort of unique, different types of people that you'll meet in the game, from the more dangerous side to more humour aspects, and you'll meet some, sad characters. There's lots of different types of personalities in the game, and they all sort of play and intertwine together, sort of, I guess, as you go along and get a sort of feel for the world. But yeah, this is just another sort of on-foot section where I guess you'll be picking up different deliveries as you go, and trying to mix that sort of on-foot element with the sort of in-car stuff, which is most of the game, really, I guess. Yeah.
I have bad feelings.
Me too, Camus.
Yeah, so what is this kind of world like? Like, is there a big disparity in income here? Is this kind of implied that you're only delivering for people who have the money to get things delivered? Like, can you give us a little bit more insight into that?
It's known as one of the biggest cities in the world, in this particular world, and there's a lot of sort of, I guess, disparity between, different types of people, and you're delivering packages for lots of very different types, and it's how you're sort of building relationships with them and how you want to go about each delivery, and all of those things sort of play in together, I guess. But there's quite a diverse array of people you'll meet from different walks of life, I guess, in the game.
Interesting.
We can't see who's saying what at the bottom there because we're covering it up with our faces. But there is a dog.
I hear it too.
And-
There's a dog.
Yeah, I know, right? So,
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
who he is and how that works?
Yes.
Is he one of the NPCs or characters?
He's actually your in-car AI. So Camus is your in-car AI who plays quite a large part in the story. And yeah, he'll be with you for most of the game. It'll become clearer later on in the game of how he's ended up there in your car. But yeah, it's he plays quite a large role in helping you with various different missions and that sort of thing, both whilst you're in the car and while you're exploring around on foot as well.
I guess you can't ask if you can pet him.
Well,
You could pet the dash.
yeah, just
Pet the dashboard.
Yeah.
stroke your car.
That counts. Stroke your car.
Fine. There he is.
Oh my goodness, look.
I am nervous.
Is he
because you are nervous.
a universal in-car AI? Like, does everyone have a dog, or do you get to?
No, this is unique to Rania, the main character's car, this particular AI. But
Good choice.
yeah, there's lots of different AIs in the game, but in your particular car, it's you're the only one with Camus, so it's unique to that one.
Score.
I definitely pick him.
100%.
Like,
Why
of
would you want
course.
anything else?
I know, Camus.
See, he's so helpful.
I just have to make a call on this.
It's a good dog right there.
And as you're sort of flying around as well, you'll sort of be able to stop off and purchase new things and that sort of thing. So we're trying to sort of develop the world around you, but this is more just showcasing the sort of midtown area of the game in this particular preview.
Can you get in any trouble for bad driving in this?
There's no wanted levels or anything like that in Cloudpunk, no, but it's more if you're hitting into things, it's going to cost you more money, I guess, to fix it, I guess.
Well, that's like the real world.
Just like the real
Just
world,
like
yeah.
the real world.
Can you get to a stage where you've bashed into things too much, and then
Yeah, your car can pretty much come to a bit of a standstill if you're not careful, and you'll need to make sure it gets repaired quickly.
We just tell control lost it.
But yeah, here's showcasing you delivering
Sprite.
the package to a trash chute because the package was ticking, so it's
I doubt
this
it.
decision of should I deliver it as I'm told to do, or should I get rid of the package? And that's just one example of a mission where you've got to make a decision, and later on in the game it's gonna there's going to be repercussions for what you've done really based on that.
so there's bits of branching narrative in it, depending on.
Yeah, so you can maybe get paid for one job by doing that, or maybe you've made the moral choice to do something else, but it might pay off or not pay off in different ways based on that.
So really interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me
so
too.
do you have predicted launch periods yet?
This year for certain.
Okay.
It's definitely coming this year. It's going to come on Switch, PS4 and Xbox and PC.
Amazing.
But we haven't got a set release date in stone just yet, but it's almost there. We're just polishing it, making sure it's the best on all platforms, and then it'll be with you soon, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for it for
Cool.
sure.
Cool.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much for
Great.
coming.
All right. No, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Cheers, guys.
absolutely.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Craig. That was Cloudpunk. Next up, we've got Moving Out, so stay tuned. PAX East 2020. I'm James,
Alyssa.
And I'm Ashley from SMG.
and Ash is going to show us Moving Out, which I'm
Yes.
very excited about.
Thank you.
Do you want to give us a quick overview of what Moving Out is?
Well, yeah. So we're kind of saying moving out is like overcooked, but you're moving furniture. So it's
I
a
know.
cooperative couch co-op moving simulator game. Using the theme of everyone's kind of favorite time when they're moving house or moving out.
Everyone's favorite
Yeah,
time.
Not
yeah.
stressful at
No.
all.
No.
Not
And
at all.
it's kind of like a millennial's dream game. I can actually move out of home, so maybe parents are buying it for their kids to kind of get them.
What a fantasy.
Yeah, a fantasy.
It's inspirational and stressful.
Yeah,
It's
you're moving out. You're not moving
perfect.
to a new house. You're just moving out. You're getting kicked out, maybe.
Oh.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Right, so you're not going somewhere bigger and better as such. You're
Ma-
just moving somewhere.
we're just moving.
Who knows?
Yeah,
You're just going to
yeah.
move out. Okay, fine. Well, I think we can jump in.
Yeah.
We've all got controllers.
Yeah.
This is up to 4 players.
Yeah, you can do 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Okay.
So we'll play as 3. So yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
We move and groove.
So we're going to continue. So you can pick your character. We have a bunch of characters to choose from.
Oh.
You can also
Oh, I
customize
want
them.
the wonky-eyed lizard. You can customize them.
Yeah, so you can change accessories, hair.
I'm going to get in trouble if I don't be the unicorn. So
It can be toasty. And we can change the what is it, accessory. Change his toes. Every character can also be on a wheelchair. That was a good thing for us to kind of let people be represented in that way. So yeah, each character can be customized that way. You can change colors. So we'll choose blue.
Oh my gosh.
And we got different emotes.
wow.
Thumbs up.
Okay.
So,
Oh.
and that's the control. So we hit. Oh, just hit A to continue. And we're ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm
this
so
is the-
cute.
This is the demo we have at PAX East. We're showing just a kind of a level sampler.
Okay.
So we can start with a tutorial, which will kind of take us through the controls, and that hopefully will explain it so we can kind of move forward to the other levels.
That's going to be helpful.
We'll
Let's do that. Let's not just jump straight in.
No.
Do we have to work together?
Yeah, you got to work together.
This
So
isn't
it's
going to work.
No, you've
No.
already decided that this is
No,
not going to
not
work.
you and me, no.
Okay. Well, let's meet me and Ash. Will just you
Yeah.
do you. You
Yeah.
go and do whatever.
Celebrate the joys of life and to console
Whose video is this?
So it was actually hard to find licensed video of someone's wedding. That's like my dad joke of like someone's
Mankind has been moving
taken
and
over.
lifting objects since the dawn of time. Welcome, new employees, to the Smooth Moves family. This is your first step to becoming a certified furniture, arrangement, and relocation technician.
So it kind of sets the tone for the whole.
Yes.
I was quite proud. I was quite proud of that
You're
one.
probably asking yourself, gee, I don't know anything about moving furniture. Well, you're in luck. This training module will provide all the necessary information you need to be a safe and productive member of the Smooth Moves family.
So
Oh.
you've actually got like a little Easter egg here. You got the slap button. You can slap the boss.
Ouch! Hey, that tickles. Please stop.
That's the boss of the game. He's a box.
Can we slap each other? Yep.
Hey,
Yes.
God. See?
Yeah, you were right. This isn't going to
It's
work.
not gonna work.
It's not
Picking
going
up
to work
objects
at
is
all.
an essential moving technique. We've tried kicking them, but this way is much faster.
I'm being harassed.
Oh, wait, hang on. Okay, pick up the
So
boxes.
either of the triggers will work, and
Cool.
that's kind of.
See?
Nice.
No, okay.
Did
love
you
how
know
they run.
jumping was invented by the Vikings? Teamwork makes the dream work. Try
Alright.
lifting heavy objects with your partner.
Someone help
Yes.
me there. Nice. And you can see when Toasty's straining, he
Nice work.
burns his toast there.
Oh, no.
It's alright. People like burnt toast as well.
Who?
You can also throw items, but don't worry.
Wait, it
These
depends on
pieces
how
are
burnt it
great
is,
for
Like
this.
right?
psychopaths like burnt toast.
Oh, sorry.
That's
I've
alright.
stolen that.
Yes.
Oh, there's one more.
Oh, guys.
Oh,
trick shot,
nice.
trick shot.
On the count of 5. 1,
Oh, I know we
two.
did this one first.
Okay,
Come over
just
here,
throw it
and
already.
then hold down X, and then just one at a time. Yep, and then
I'll
hold
leave
down
it.
X.
I'll leave it. You
And then we
guys.
can throw it. So that's the most. I'll get you to do the other one. That's the most advanced technique is the co-throwing. Kind of move there. Hold down X. Oh yep. And then you can go.
You got this.
Yes.
Is that proper moving etiquette throwing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Just wondering.
Every mover's arch enemy. Fragile
no.
objects. Don't drop these sensitive
Oh,
doodads.
no. I caught it. But then.
Nice.
That's not going to work when we do it properly.
No. Oh, gosh, a
A
ghost.
ghost. Slap him out of the way if he gets too close. I ain't afraid of no ghost. Don't cross the streams. Oops. Take that, mailbox. Don't slap too hard. We don't need another lawsuit.
Wow.
Always focus on what needs to be moved next.
So if you push Y, it'll kind
Nice.
of tell you what to move.
You're almost there. I believe in you.
Oh,
Did
hit
you
the
just
rake.
slap me again?
I
there's-
didn't hit you.
there's a rake
You
on the
stepped
level.
on the
Yeah.
rake.
I slept
You're
on the
much
rake,
better
that's
than the
fine.
Pomeranian
called
we tried training
self-sabotage.
last time.
And so that kind of takes you through all the controls. So there's like pick up, there's throw, jump and throw.
Congratulations, FARTs. Your skills meet the minimum legal requirements to start moving.
Yes.
So now we're certified. Now we can officially move according to the American Moving Association.
Sure, yeah, that's
Very
definitely one of
minimum
them.
requirements.
Yeah. And so this is, we'll move on to the first level. This is the first level in the game, and then the rest of the levels are kind of varied, progress through the game. So this will be the first one, so it's quite easy. So it's Holly's
Oh,
home.
you say that now.
Yeah. And there's bonus objectives that usually unlock when you first finish the game, or first finish the level. And so we can ignore those for now, but yeah, there's other, like
They-
once you finish this,
They seem counterintuitive. It says break the windows, don't break the windows.
well, we want you to play the level multiple times. So,
One
so
bedroom
that's the
house.
boss talking to you. He's like, yeah, we'll start you off easy. And in this world, these movers, they love moving. So the whole game's set in the 80s. It's all very wholesome, and in their world, they're the best moving company in the world. They love moving. They couldn't be doing anything. They wouldn't want to be doing anything else in the world.
Oh, I love
it's-
that.
Yeah. Once you hit that, once you go full into wholesome, it's actually quite fun because everything's kind of
It's freeing.
Yeah, it's freeing. Yeah.
We're in.
You know what? You're already being rude with the door.
What?
And
How-
so you can throw through the windows. That's the fastest way.
Oh, okay.
And then, so there's some items, like there will be 2-player items, like the couch. So if someone's helping with the couch, we can get that through the door. Oh yeah, we can go through the window. Let's throw it through the window. Hold down X. And, oh, no. Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
You are chaos right
I
now.
was in the way. It's
And
taking this to the van.
And we go there. Oh, no, just hold it down, and then we'll wait. It'll
Okay.
kind of like sway. And then, and 1, 2, and go. Yeah, perfect. Look at that.
Yes,
straight in
we
the truck.
made it.
And so there's like other items.
I get
other
the
items
toaster.
Oh, that I can't.
kind
get.
of move by yourself.
Oh my goodness.
And there's no right or wrong. There's no rules for breaking things. We found if we gave people points for doing things, it would actually alter the way they played.
There's a table
Oh, yeah,
here.
I'll help you with the table, yep. Yeah, oh, and I'll go on the other side, then we'll throw it. Yeah, there we go.
As I keep trying to slap them, and forgetting that that's not the point.
Yeah, you can slap some of the smaller items, but I wouldn't recommend slapping everything.
It's a good thing for life in general as well.
Yeah.
Don't slap
Just
everything.
slapping only gets you through so many life situations. I'll grab this one.
Okay, I've got the fridge.
Like, you can't carry that by yourself.
I mean, I could,
You're just dragging it.
but I'll
I'll
wait.
help you out there. And let's throw it again. Yeah. Boom. There we go. Oh,
Yep, that's fine. This
Yeah.
is how you move a fridge.
yeah.
Come on.
And then get it up there.
Yes.
And so there's a little bit of like meta strategy in how you place things in the truck.
Oh no.
If you place them wrong, if you place them like really badly, it'll just make it harder for you to kind of throw and get him into the truck.
Is he losing his toast?
Oh yeah, it'll pop out occasionally. It's a
Oh.
condition he has, but it's gluten-free toast, so it's okay. He's a gluten-free toaster.
Wait, can this fit through the door? It doesn't feel like the
It
bed
can,
will fit through
but
the
we have to
door.
like pivot around.
Oh, you guys can
Yeah,
figure
there we
that
go.
out.
Look at that. And we'll wiggle it through.
Come on.
There we go.
All right,
We'll go around
yes.
this one.
How you doing with that table?
I'm doing a great job with the table.
Oh, we broke the door. It's okay. They're moving out.
Yeah,
anyway,
they don't
so-
need that.
No, they don't need it. Okay. Oh, and the fence.
And then let's throw this over the. Yeah.
Come on.
Done.
Come on.
I think it's just that deck chair now. We'll help you with that.
I got it.
Oh, done.
Tight.
Yeah.
That means we've done really
I
well.
think they said tight in the 80s. We're like, what if
Yeah,
people
tight.
say in the
Yeah.
80s? So they are brick spare, brick chair.
Oh, good one.
The chaos.
Move on. And there was a little hidden Atari in the level there. So each level we've got a hidden Atari that
Oh.
unlocks an achievement if you find them all. So just trying to give people reasons to kind of come back and play again. And there we broke all the windows, so we got an achievement. And there's one where you can bring the flamingos, which is optional.
I did what? Where were the flamingos?
Oh, they're on the the lawn at the front.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
was too busy.
And we did all,
destroying
we
things.
were like 11 seconds off a goal time, so that's not
Wow,
bad.
I thought we were going quite slow. I'm
Yeah.
proud of us.
Yeah.
Look at the furniture just.
Bobbing along. Go
Yeah.
team.
Yeah. So that's the first level in the game, and then we can go on to Packmore River, which is probably like the 12th level in the game. There's 50 levels in the game, and so we're going to jump in a little bit more in difficulty, but it's a really nice dynamic level. So we're kind of calling this like mini boss level.
Oh.
So
Oh.
oh, that's right. Yeah. And so there's a little bit of a video game joke there, but yeah, the game's set in the 80s, so this is like a Frogger kind of a homage.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I love video games.
Oh no.
So it kind of shows you the path you have to take.
Is it set in Florida?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no wonder they want to move out of this area. Look, it's
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's right by the highway.
and then a river that you can't cross.
Yeah.
Let's start with it. Oh, there's a little Frogger.
Get him! Get him! Get him! Pick him up!
The good thing is you can't hurt the animals in the game, so we, you know,
See,
we made that, you know,
Okay.
as a conscious decision.
I appreciate
But
that.
it says a lot about your personality if you're going to slap a frog.
I didn't say slap him.
Oh,
I just
okay.
said let's get him.
Oh, get him. Okay.
Like,
Well, maybe
make
he
that-
didn't want to come with you. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Oh no. Oh, I've drowned. Well,
Oh,
I'm
I'll say that.
a lizard. I can swim, right? Hi, little.
So that's Cammy the chameleon. So
I'm a
the
chameleon.
Chameleon, yeah.
That makes sense.
So there's other
I've
are
broken
these?
it.
Fragile. Okay.
Throw that to
jump
you.
on the-
I'll just take.
Okay.
I'll just take.
So there's the hidden Atari down here. That's an easier one to kind of spot. And then I'll throw that in the truck as well for the bonus.
I panicked and threw the fragile one. It's just. Oh my goodness.
I'm bringing a chair.
Oh, yeah, I'll help you with
Bringing
that.
a chair.
Alright.
Should
Oh,
we,
I'll
do
go
we
the other
throw
way.
it? Or can we...
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Okay.
But the TV is smoking.
But that's fine. It's
Okay.
yeah,
It'll still work.
it's a
right?
feature.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah,
Oh, I'm getting it.
All right, I think we can go up, spin around. We're actually pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah,
look,
we should
what's
do
that?
this. We should do this professionally.
Hey, you guys want to come to Brooklyn and move me out of my
We are
apartment?
doing this professionally. This is our jobs.
Oh yeah. Some floppy
Oh,
disks.
I forgot about. Can you walk on the gators? Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, you can.
Good
That's
to know.
safe.
Good to know.
Someone help me with the arcade machine.
I got it.
Thank you.
Got it.
Watch out for these trucks.
Oh, straight across. Oh, no.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, we go there.
Oh, yes.
Get the hang of this now.
Just tuck it in there.
So if you were playing this like on your own, how do you move the heavy objects?
So the heavier objects, you're a little bit stronger when you're by yourself. But we've also got a 2-mover mode, so you can have 2 movers on the same controller.
Oh gosh.
It's a lot more advanced. You either hate it or you love it. It's kind of like patting your head and rubbing your tummy.
Oh
But
no.
we've allowed that option now.
I can't even tie my shoelaces.
We'll go crocodile to crocodile. Oh.
I've got you. I've got you.
Yep. Nice. We're pretty lenient on the you know, the death boxes for this because we want you to take those risks and have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
If you're too precise with everything, it kind of zaps the fun out of it, and it forces you to play really safe. So we kind of, you know, we tune the game to be much more. Oh, are we going to get a log here?
I think the frog likes me.
Yeah?
It's been following
You should
me.
try and slap it.
No.
Ah, perfect.
I think he's. What is he doing? Is he trying to help me?
I think it's just being annoying.
So
I love him.
I'll come and see what he's at.
Don't. No. You know what?
Hey, this isn't good moving etiquette.
You started it. Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
all the way,
You
all
want to
the
go
way,
on the gator?
all the
You
way.
want to go on the gator?
And let's throw this one in. So hold down X. And then, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's solid moving right there.
Yeah.
Okay, I think there's like 2 more things.
Yeah.
Pinball
It's
machine.
The pinball machine and the washing machine.
All right, you guys. I'm just gonna.
These are both essential items for
Yeah.
a moving house.
I'm exerting myself far too.
Okay,
Be
well-
careful, frog. See, I've got a friend. All right,
Oh, no.
chaps.
Oh, I see, because this
Coming.
only just fits in the truck now because of our brilliant stacking.
Yeah, I think
Look at this. Look at
you
this.
go all the way, all the way. Yeah. Oh, look at that. It's so easy.
Oh, right in. Yeah, still got it.
Yes. Oh, that's exciting stuff.
Oh,
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
They really
love
are
moving.
very earnest.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that someone has to run.
Oh, gold star. Yeah, we nailed it.
Yes. Right across.
And two bonus objectives.
Bring
Get
the
hit
frog
by-
to the. I knew you could pick it up.
No, you have to like kind of guide it across.
I
Like,
should have done
safely.
it because he was
It
following me.
was trying to be your friend. Let's see.
So that's like a mini boss, more dynamic level, and then I think the next level is let's see. Here we got the haunted house, Dread Manor.
Oh
Okay,
my
I think we
God.
might have like 2 minutes to quickly look at it,
Okay, yeah.
but we probably won't be able to finish
Okay,
it.
that's fine.
But
Oh gosh.
And so the game's set in the 80s. We're coming out April 28th. We're across all platforms, so Switch, PlayStation, Xbox with physical editions, and then Steam as well. So you can wish
Sweet.
this on Steam. And then this level's like, people say like, oh, why is it haunted? It's like, oh, it's just a haunted house. Like you don't.
Why not?
In the 80s and cartoons, they didn't really question those kind of
no.
those
It's
decisions.
existed.
And so there's like possessed items.
Oh wow.
There's a, for each level to get the best time, there's a little bit of strategy involved. Like if you go through here,
Oh, wow.
these chairs will escape,
Oh, oh.
and if you put them in a truck, if I put them in a truck now, they'll run out at a later time.
Oh.
So you want to do them at the end?
Do them at the end, or you can block them in. You gotta watch it. There's like another way
Oh,
to
yeah,
get into
they
the house up this side,
Wow.
and there's like a scary
Oh my gosh, the
piano.
scary piano.
That will hit you.
The chaos.
Oh,
I'm
the
just going to start
piano's
small.
going nuts.
So yeah, all the chairs have run out.
Get away from me.
Okay. And
That's basically why we added the slap button, just for the ghosts.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's so satisfying.
I can
and
see
the
why
JJ.
this is yeah. I can see why this is a bit more advanced in terms of the levels.
His toast is flying everywhere. There's toast up here. I can take that. No, I can't. Oh.
Okay. Brilliant. Well,
Cool.
thanks for bringing that down, Ash. That was
Oh,
really
thank
fun.
you.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
so much fun.
I can't believe we only had 20 minutes, but I would keep playing this
Yeah.
for the
Honestly,
rest of
just
the
to
day.
slap you, I would keep them.
Brilliant. Good. Well, I'm glad we're stopping there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, otherwise there might be some dramas a bit later on the stream. So just remind everyone when it's out.
yeah, April 28th, coming out on all platforms. Yes, Switch, physical, PlayStation, Xbox, and physical, and Steam. So,
Amazing. Oh, I
thank
can't
you.
wait to check it out.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that is moving out. Next up, we've got Unexplored 2. So stick around.
Stay tuned.
And we are joined by...
Jacobson Locke.
Hi, Jacobson. You are here to show off the Unexplored 2, correct?
Yes, Unexplored 2. We've got some new game footage. We haven't shown any long form like this before, so we're kind of excited to get it on screen and talk about it as it plays out.
Great. So I think the last time that we saw this was at the PC Gaming Show in LA, like last year, which is also one of our shows. It's our sister site, PC Gamer. We've been doing a stream this morning. But as you say, this is the first sort of time we're going to get to see a lot of gameplay from this game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, since then we had another trailer when we were at EGX, but this is the first time we're showing long-form gameplay of a few of our areas and a few of the mechanics that have been evolving since E3 of that year.
So how did that announcement go at the E3?
Oh, it was
show?
great. It was a great show. We were super excited to be a part of it, and we got a ton of feedback or a ton of attention on the game. And if anyone has the opportunity to do it again, I would highly recommend being a part of that show.
Perfect. We're going to take a look at some gameplay in a minute, but just for people who don't know about the Unexplored, who haven't played the first one, what's kind of the concept are we looking at, and what's the general overview of the game?
Yeah, so Unexplored 1 released a couple years ago on PC and then eventually moved to consoles, and the whole concept there was the whole game was a dungeon crawler, all procedurally generated, but the lead designer, Joris, kind of changed the way he thought about randomly generating a dungeon. Up until that point, a lot of random generalizations was like you start here and you end here, and like it builds everything to that. But he coined the term cyclic dungeon generating, where instead of the dungeon like coming with a point A and a point B, it kind of creates a circle, and you it creates a more organic structure to actually explore. And it's a lot of technical stuff way beyond my head. But the main goal was that instead of like just trying to get to point B, the whole dungeon creates a new puzzle for you, that all the elements of that puzzle are generated within that dungeon, and you have to go find the key pieces, and at the end of the day, you essentially go in a circle. And so it doesn't feel like you're just going through a line, you're actually exploring an area and then going to the next one.
Cool.
And then I guess just to evolve on that, so Unexplored 2 takes that out of the dungeons, and now we're in a giant overworld. And so every time you boot up under Unexplored 2, the whole world generates. And so it is a roguelite, so when you die, you start over. And you can either choose to start in this world, to start a new run in this world that you were originally in, or you can just regenerate the world. And the reason you have that option is because all the choices that you made in that first world and that first run are going to impact the world for your second run. All the factions that you either wronged or helped out, they're going to be there. They're going to be playing their own like mini game of civilization, even outside of your input. So even when you're not doing things, the world is evolving, and it might impede your tasks. So at some point, it might just feel too difficult, and you just want to start fresh. But the idea is that like the more you play in the same world, the more it evolves and the more unique it becomes to your experience.
Well, that's super interesting. I like the idea of being like, nope, too hard.
Yeah.
Please, help me.
So from your point of view, as a bit of advice, what is it easier to just start again, or like what's the balance between the two?
We honestly encourage, like, failure is going to be a big part of it. There's no way to beat. I mean, I'm sure some people are going to find a way to beat it in one run, and those are going to be really entertaining to watch. But for me, accepting the failure is going to be the best part of that experience, because that's going to morph the world into something you just can't predict. And then therefore that will create more engaging gameplay. So there's the main goal of the game is to take this staff, and when the game starts, you're given the staff, and you have to destroy it. And you're told where in the world you need to destroy it. Now, you might not know exactly how you're going to destroy it. Maybe it needs to be thrown into lava. Maybe it needs to be like sacrificed as an altar. That can kind of change. But you're also not given the right path to get there, right? So between you and where that is could be multiple factions, multiple terrain types. So you're going to figure out the best way to get there and the best way to navigate that. In addition to that, you might need additional items, artifacts that you might need. And the cool thing here is, like, let's say there's a mask that like helps you can do more magic with this mask. That's way off the beaten trail. So in your first run, you learn you need this mask. So you go get it. You pick it up, and let's say you can put it somewhere, because you know you're just not going to survive this run much longer. You can put it somewhere closer to the main path that you want to take, and your next run, your guy will be able to pick that up along the way. So it's almost like your first couple runs are more like figuring out, okay, what do I need to destroy the staff, and where are those things? Let's gather them and put them on the way, and then it kind of all accumulates into one final run. where like you just execute everything you've like planned upon so far. As long as the world doesn't try to get in your way, because it's not going to always work in your favor. There's always going to be obstacles you're going to have to overcome.
Oh my gosh.
That feels like a lot of organization.
A lot of
It's
planning.
like
I like
going
planning.
yeah.
I think we can take a look at it too.
Yeah, let's fire it up and
Oh,
look
yeah.
at some gameplay.
Gotcha. So as you're seeing here, we're out of the dungeons now, and all the footage here, this is all procedurally generated.
Right.
So all this art, everything is being put together with ones and zeros. So it was it took a lot of time to make sure that like it feels like a fleshed out level. And so just to go over what we're doing right this second. So we just fought off some wolves. This is a bandit. And another big part of this game is interacting with the NPCs of the world. So you're not always going to fight your way out of things. You're going to have conversations. And what's going on right now is a fortune test. So it's essentially our version of a dice roll. So you're going to try and persuade this guy that you don't want to fight him, right? You ask him not to fight him, but instead of just rolling a dice, we have these fortunes that are essentially, instead of you being able to choose directly, I don't want to fight you, you're given like 3 options that you have to pick from. And then based on those options, whether they're hostile, neutral, or whatever, you'll be given another 3 options. And it gives you a way to essentially kind of like push or control the dice roll. But you're limited in those options, and the more you use them, the less you're going to have until they kind of refill in certain situations. And the idea is just to give player agency to the dice roll.
And are those encounters procedurally generated as well? Like, so the whole thing is...
Whole thing, the text, everything generates on the fly for the situation that you're currently going into. And what's also pretty cool about what just happened is that bandit ran away. We didn't get a chance to finish him. So that bandit's going to go warn other bandits. And now when we run into bandits, they're going to be more wary of us. And we might actually have a higher success of intimidating them next time. Because that bandit ran away and said, oh my gosh, this guy beat me up. You know, be wary of him. So we tried intimidating him that time, didn't work. But the next time it could potentially work. And we might not need to fight him.
Right. I mean, how do you even... Sorry, how do you even test a game like that? Like, that makes sure all of that stuff works?
A lot of math, a lot of time.
Okay, fine. That's why I don't understand it.
A lot of these systems were built in Unexplored 1, and they're just being expanded upon dramatically for Unexplored 2. So, I mean, you could think about a lot of these systems have been in production for the better part of a decade. So there's been a lot of time and a lot of effort put into this one. What we've just noticed is, like, earlier there was, like, these statues all holding these totem poles. And you have to pick up one of these totems, these statues, and it'll, like, open a door for you, but you don't know which one it is. So you're encouraged to kind of explore the area and find a clue. We just found a little scripture that through our fortune test we found what is the right idol to pick up. So now we're going back. We found out through that scripture that it was going to be the deer one, I believe. And so now that we have that, we can pick that up and put it on this pedestal, and it'll open that door for us to get to a treasure chest, which will give us an item. Another interesting part about this game is there's no gold, and there's no experience points. So items are important because you're going to use those to barter. So whatever you're picking up will be useful to barter for more food later, or maybe a better weapon that you might need. I also said there's no experience points. There's only deeds. So let's say you killed the bandit king, and you go back to a town, and now the sword trainer there knows that you've done that. He's like, okay, you're experienced enough for me to teach you the next level of skills. So essentially, the way to progress through certain mechanics is to constantly use them and then perform feats with those, and then the world will recognize that you're a renowned sword fighter and will allow you to unlock the next level of those.
Okay, so going back to what you said earlier, knowing that you're going to pick up that totem thing, if you just restarted this level, you'd already know that yourself, so you could just go and get it?
If you came back there like in a second run?
Yeah.
Good question. I'll just leave it there for now.
Oh, I'm going to have to make so many notes.
Like so many notes.
There was a lot of... Adventure was a major inspiration for this one. You know, back to the old days, like, I remember, like, playing the old Zeldas, and, like, back when Google, or back when the internet was just starting, you'd get on forums and stuff, and, like, people were spreading secrets, whether they're real or not. So this whole game is, like, also trying to bring back that feeling of adventure. You don't quite know what's out there. You're going to go explore it. You might want to share that with your friends later. Be like, oh, in this area, like, this thing happened to me. So the idea is to create engaging stories for people to tell their friends, and then continue playing.
And like you say, some of those stories, there's no way of proving that it actually happened or not, unless you've like
Exactly.
captured it all.
Yeah, so someone can just make something up in their head, but very easily the system allows very interesting stories to take place. That could be possibly real. What's going on in here, real quickly, is so we're fighting these rock monsters. So that staff allows you to control the magic of the world, the magic of nature. So these rocks right here, whenever you attack them, these like yellow things, that's actually like a magical attack. That's why it's shaking the rocks from the top and bringing them on you. But there's certain areas that allow you to take advantage of nature's magic, whether that's being next to some cactus that will then allow you to use like their spikes against enemies, or being able to control the wind direction, or being able to walk on water. But the thing is, every time you do this, nature doesn't necessarily like that. So every time you use magic, which is a very powerful tool, and there might be certain situations where you absolutely need to use it, that environment's going to remember that and might not create favorable situations for you in the future because you're abusing their power.
So even the world is against you.
It could be, but also if you do things that might help the forest, then using forest magic will be less of a negative impact for them, because they're like, okay, this guy's a good guy. We're going to allow him to like use our abilities to traverse the land.
What kind of stuff is that? Like planting a tree?
Certain, like, you might be given a quest where like, some bandits are like, you cutting down trees or something like that, pillaging a little bit. And if you were to kill those bandits or take them out in any way possible. I know I'm talking a lot about combat, but there's also a lot of other different ways to handle situations. But then the forest will remember that and allow you to use their magic in the future at a smaller detriment to yourself.
Right. So whereabouts are we now? Like, is this quite far into the game in
So
terms
this
of
is-
settings?
These are all, so when you start, there's a giant map that generates, and like these are different sections when you're trying to get to that end of the world. So these are all we wanted to get a healthy mix of all the biomes we have going on. What you're noticing, these like red circles that are happening, those are actually magical traps that if you were to walk over those, they would burn you. And the reason there's showing is because he smacked the fire totems up there. So it gives him the ability to like see those, and those can be used as timed challenges in the future. And so essentially what's going on right now is there's a door he's trying to get through. He's trying to find a scripture that will help him discover what totem he needs to pick up for next time.
So on the world map, you get a point A and a point B.
You're
But-
always told where you need to take the staff. You're just not told the best way to get there.
Right.
And the whole map is, when it's procedurally generated, each little icon of that represents a land that you can go to. That'll alert you to the type of terrain and environment that's going to be. All the information is presented to you at the beginning. There's no fog of war. So the idea is that it gives you the information you're going to need to make a choice.
And I guess you would have known from your previous attempts of which way you've gone and which way is more difficult, what skills that you have that could make a certain path more viable for you than another one, and
Exactly.
build on.
Having the right gear might make the mountain terrain much easier to go through. Having food packed away will make the barren areas easier to get through. So you will also be paying attention to your hunger levels, stuff like that. Something that's really cool happening right here is the first use of magic. So we pulled magic from this skull totem up here. And so that allowed us to create our own little skulls that are going to fly around us and help us out. But there is there was a detriment to that. So in the future, when we try to do that, it might not always work out just that way, and it might create more obstacles that we have to overcome in the future. Whether that's just barricades or other skull spirits showing up that are not the most friendly. So yeah, so these are little skull minions now that are going to hang out with us.
Oh, they're helping us.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, that's pretty metal.
Will they help you through all the different biomes, or do they
So
only live in one of them?
Well, we summoned them here with those things, and at some point they will go off and do their own thing. But they will stick to you up until that point. And essentially, these particular spirits are mainly used for attacking, but there could be other spirits that are more useful for other things.
And you mentioned all the different enemy types that you've got in this. Have they evolved since the first game as well? Have you built on ones that were already in it and added new ones?
So the art style for the original game was very top down. It had a 2D aesthetic to it. It was a much smaller team. So we've expanded the team, and we've got a full art team behind this now. So what's really cool is there might be a few enemies from the first game that you might see in this one, not a one-to-one translation, but like there's inspiration from the first game definitely came into this one. Let's see. I also want to stress we are still very early in development, so a lot of the UI is very temporary right now. It's just functional on the stand. The visual aesthetics are like this is the goal. We brought this to a point where we feel comfortable showing it around, and this is those fortune tests I was talking about earlier. So like these things floating in that cauldron, those are the various options you have that you have to pick from, and you're given 3 and you got to pick 1. And there's also this resource called Sparks that you'll find, and Sparks will actually allow you to like re-roll that. But that's a limited resource that you don't get very much of. And so the idea is like I said, give the player agency in the dice rolls, but at the same time, failure is kind of the point. It's going to create more interesting game scenarios for you.
And in terms of those sparks, like how would you get more of them?
Failing
Okay,
fortune
great.
rolls. It actually you actually get more for failing. So also something happening here. The player is blocked right now. This thicket, we can't get through that. And when we interacted with it earlier, it said you can't pass. So we went and found a dying tree that had like a seed, like a branch, and now we've gone and given it to it. And it's like, oh, okay, you are supporting the forest. You're supporting the nature, and so now it lets you pass. Now, let's say you didn't know to do that. You didn't know if that was a possibility. You could just hack at that vine and get through. But the next time you see that vine, it won't just be standing still. It'll now be like having like spikes come at you.
It's going to be mad. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and all the factions, all the enemies are remembering this constantly. So everything you're doing is going to affect your next run, and nothing is forgotten.
Okay. No pressure.
Oh man,
Yeah, it's a lot.
that's a lot. There's a lot going on there. There's
You're
a
going
lot
to
of
need like
different
a
things.
sheet, Google sheet.
More
Good
than
spreadsheet.
Yeah, you're going to need
Yeah.
a serious spreadsheet.
You need
for
like a
this.
tome to write in
Yeah.
of all the different things that are happening. I mean, it looks great. Like,
It really
thank
is
you
beautiful.
for bringing it down. Have you got a predicted like launch period at this stage or anything?
Soon?
Soon.
Well,
Soon.
not, I mean, at some point, we'll let you guys know what we're thinking
They're
as far as
excited.
launch dates go.
yeah.
Yeah, we're not quite ready to say any dates, but I keep your eyes open.
And are we talking the same platforms as the first game, potentially? Are we going to keep our eyes open for that
Keep
as
your
well?
eyes open.
Okay, brilliant. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
down. That was great. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was the Unexplored 2. Next up, we've got the Red Lantern, so we'll see you in a few minutes.
Bye, guys.
And hello and welcome back to the GamesRadar live stream here at PAX East in Boston 2020. Every time I say that, it's getting longer and longer.
It was different. Wow,
It's
yeah.
just being more and more little things
Now
in
everyone
it.
knows exactly where we are.
Yeah, you should by now. If you don't, if you're just tuning in, I'm James.
Hi, Melissa.
And we're joined by Lindsay.
Hey, how's it
Hi,
going?
you have brought along we're not sure how we feel about this because there could be some emotions on display in the next 20 minutes. This is the Red Lantern,
Yeah.
and it's a game about sledding and dogs and a race.
Yep, so it is a game where you're going to go out and dog sled throughout Alaska and try to survive the wilderness. So you play as the musher. She has dreams of becoming, a dog sled racer, and she wasn't really happy with how her life was going. So she decides to hit the reset button. She hits it a little hard, and you're like, I'm going to go off grid and just live in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of goes that way in the most extreme of ways and ends up heading up to Alaska to start a new life. And so it takes place as you're going out to start this life and find your cabin, and you get a little lost along the way.
She could have just cut her own bangs, but she went full.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bangs are much safer, arguably.
Okay, well, we've got some footage that you've brought along to show everyone off, which we can see right now. There's a good boy
pupper.
straight away. That's great. The first trailer I think you had from this was last year.
Yeah.
Like, how was the reaction to that? How did you feel about putting this kind of game out there at that time?
We were anxious. No one had sort of done this kind of game. We knew we had a more hardcore trailer, I guess we can say in the end. But no one had done the dog sledding kind of thing. And so we were like, we don't know. It's a very existentialist game dealing with identity, and we're like, we'll see what happens. And then people were like, I didn't know this was the game I wanted, but I want it. And we were just like, okay, cool. Obviously, some people are worried about the puppers. We can talk more about the puppers.
Everyone is worried about the
So
puppers
worried.
because they're such good boys.
They are good boys. You actually bring your best buddy Chomper up with you from San Francisco. So, and along the way, I'll get to adopt 4 more dogs. We actually have 8 to choose from, each with their own little quirks and storylines and little arcs, and you're helping them figure out who they are while they help you figure out who you are. Like Barkley, one of my favorites, he tends to bark or bite before he barks, and you have to help him sort of find his voice and go out and be like, no, talk it out. You can scare things off. You don't have to go in everything with your mouth. And so he goes, he puts himself in a little more danger than some of the other ones. So you got to keep a lookout for him.
Oh gosh, I'm so nervous.
Yeah, this is already.
You can protect them all. You can save all the pups.
That's what I need to.
Yeah,
And
but
there's
you
only-
can, is what you said. Not,
Yeah.
Not guaranteed.
some of them might not
Nothing
make
is
it.
guaranteed in life.
That's very true. That's very true.
So the name of the game, the Red Lantern, is actually a reference to the actual race.
Yeah, it's a reference to sort of both the dog sledding world as well as it's sort of using the Tour de France. It has a historical component where there was a red lantern actually on the end of the caboose on a train to make sure the whole train was connected. And in dog sledding, it's given to the person that comes in last place. And the idea is that you're not really going at it for any kind of awards. You're there to persevere. It's a light that's going to help you find home. And you're pushing through because you want to make it to the end. And it's not about anything else, but proving to yourself what you're capable of doing. And so that's really what we're trying to get to for this story, is she's out there to figure out who she is and what this world's going to make her become.
So there's some downtime. You're not always sledding with the puppies. I see we're hanging out, building a fire. This goofy one. I
The one with his
can't.
mouth
I've
open?
got a favorite. Yeah, look.
You want that belly rubs, boy? That's actually Gail. She'll probably get some good belly rubs in a second. But yeah, when you actually have to camp and you're going to have that moment to basically be able to feed yourself and feed your dogs, cook up some meat, we wanted camp to be a really cozy space. So when you're at camp, time doesn't pass. You can just pet the dogs for, 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, and just hang out. Sit at the fire, listen to the music that will normally play, and then you can just kind of chill and have that. Even though the game has some stressful moments, we wanted to have a component of a meditative state and just feel calm and isolated and small. We really wanted you to feel small in the world. That's Igloo. I love Igloo.
Are they all the same breed? They don't look all the same.
So they're different types of huskies. So the types of dogs we're using are theoretically based on the Malamute, the Siberian Husky, and then the Alaskan Husky. And the Alaskan Husky is very race-oriented. So they're sort of leaned out really fast. if you actually study them, they have like a lower butt, which makes them faster for how they can propel themselves. I've done a lot of reading.
A lot
I
of
love
dog
this.
research.
I love this.
And but the bigger dogs are there to protect you, right? Some want to protect the food, some want to protect you, some want to protect the team. There's some smart dogs that are better at using their nose or their eyes, and they'll help you get through. There's fast dogs that can get you in and out of different situations. Slayer, the all-black one, she's afraid of elk. And so you have to help her figure out how to deal with her elk fear along the way. Chomper, being a city dog, got some little scoots. He is obsessed with squirrels, as all city dogs are. They've got that wild in them, and they just won't leave them alone. And so you're going to help that little guy figure out like how to prioritize his life. But he's got a prey drive that is a little unexpected sometimes. It helps to stay alive, though.
What was the kind of idea behind making so much of this game around helping these animals and figuring out their needs and your needs? Like, it's a really interesting mechanic to have in a game.
Yeah, for me, I love this elk. I'm gonna pause and then I will answer that. This elk, you do have a chance to maybe pet it. We might be successful. Petting elk is a bad plan. Okay, he had a good fear from two.
I don't like you today.
I was just reading the options. That was all.
Pull-out rifle is one of the options. You can actually try to pet that elk. You can successfully pet the elk. We don't recommend it, much like the Wildlife Service wouldn't recommend petting an elk. It might gore you, but it is a thing that can happen. But the idea of taking the dog stories really came out of just iterating on the game. So we wanted to make sure we created a world where the player could have their own story on how they got to the end, right? Like, what did we go through to get there? And we realized that dogs, like, finding that relationship with them was the part that was going to have the most impact from that. And, like, as a writer, that was, for me, what was going to create the most kind of character relationship. She's by herself.
Yeah.
And she's kind of in her head. And as a dog owner, I spend a lot of time talking to my dogs. My dog knows a lot about my own existential problems. And just thinking about like how they could reflect back on that for you. I have a really stubborn dog that also has a bit of a prey drive. So she was definitely found on the streets. So she's food territorial and is like, I've got this. I can take care of myself. And I'm like, just chill.
I am giving you food.
Yeah, you're fed. Like picnics are a disaster. But it's been very fun. So we also have a full like day to night cycle.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Different events will come out. We should have a headlight pop on here in a second.
Skunk.
And so we have all sorts of wildlife. We only have a few pieces in this one right now. There's skunk, elk, caribou, squirrel, and an owl that are in this current demo that we're showing off.
Okay, Pops?
But there are things like ox and everything
pushed you too
else.
hard,
And in this
haven't I?
game, you have to manage your
press
dog's
the boost,
energy
it's
and
okay.
your own, right? You can't just care about yourself. And so in that instance, the dogs ran out of energy. But what happened is she didn't actually
We have
die.
to plan ahead.
She woke back up in her van after having adopted dogs, and she's
So let's go.
and she's
get out
catastrophizing all
there
these terrible things
and
that could
live
happen to
wild.
her and the dogs.
Live the
So
life
none of
that
these
is
things
true
ever
to
happen.
us.
Okay.
Yep, nothing ever happens. It's that idea when you're going to go into a big meeting or you're going on a trip and you just imagine like, what if this thing happens? What if this thing happens? What if that happens? And so you're using that as a moment to prepare yourself for what's out there. So you start to learn more about the environment. And you'll be able to obtain these different items, like an axe. And be like, oh, if you like basically fail having the axe, you'll wake back up in the van and be like, oh, I probably should have packed an axe. Those are really helpful for getting like firewood. So we use those to continue to make you more prepared. Every subsequent run gets easier as you get these items until ultimately you're fully prepared, or you know the Alaskan wilderness well enough and you can get there and you make it to your cabin with your whole team.
Oh, I love that mechanic that it's not
It's not
world
death.
ending.
Yeah. No, it's just
starting
nightmares.
again.
We all have those nightmares.
Yeah.
Everyone's had that anything about a family member, a pet, themselves. Like those are there and they help you. You know, those kind of nightmares help you prepare for the things that can happen.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, that was a really important part to just kind of incorporate. When you're playing in a roguelike, I was like, it feels wrong to just reset in like a more gamey way, where I was like, I want her to have this like kind of emotional connection. She obviously doesn't know she's constantly having nightmares.
Yeah.
But that's like, that is a component that we really felt was important. And I think Ashley Birch, who's our star in this game, did like an incredible job of like nailing that
I
feel.
thought that was Ashley first.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we mentioning who it sounds like? But
Yeah.
we are, so that's good.
Yep. No,
What
that
a
is her.
great voice for that too.
Yeah, we were really lucky to get her. She learned about the project. We're working with Sarah El Malay from Gone Home too. She's our VO director, And when she had reached out and we talked about it, she's like, we need to get Ashley. And I was like, if you can get Ashley, I'm in. Like, let's do it. And so it's been awesome. So all of us in the booth together, like bringing this to life has been just like a trip. And we're really excited to share some of the rest of the performance and everything else.
That's so lovely. You got dogs, Ashley Birch. I mean, I'm here.
What? Yeah, I mean, it's making a dream. It's
Yeah,
great.
it really, an owl.
And an owl.
You can argue with it.
Oh,
And this
oh
is
my goodness.
See, I didn't read out that second option then because I thought that you were going to turn around and
I
be
was
like,
going to yell at you
yeah,
for it because
well, I've learned on this second run, never read the harsh options.
don't read
It's
the
fine.
harsh options.
No.
I'd like to live in a world where nothing bad happens.
Yeah, and I've got that now. That's fine. So we can see like the 3 symbols at the top
At the
of the
top.
screen there. Like
Yep.
what's that representing?
So the pause your dog's energy. So they get tired the more they run. So they're the ones who have to carry you home ultimately. So you're relying on them to get you through the wilderness. That goes down as distance is traveled. The second one's your fullness. So that goes down as you take action. So going out to go chase an owl or look in this owl pellet he so generously bequeathed upon you.
Oh, how nice.
Let's see what we got in there. So Al ate a bullet at some point.
That's a good thing you
Sometimes
can pass
video games
pellets.
we have to give you some resources somehow.
Yeah.
And you're able to like check those things and have that relationship from there. So the sled also shows all your resources. She goes ahead and puts her bullet into there. You can see she has raw meat, and the tent is on there too. So you can click on the tent from the sled. When you get wood, that'll go on there. Your different persistent items will also go onto your sled. But the fullness, as you go out, examine owl pellets, have to hunt for different food that will take out your fullness. So you have to feed yourself, and then there's health. You're in a world in which things can happen to you. We'll see what happens
It's
with
okay,
the elk
folks.
this
I got
round.
Oh, no.
If we shoot it or maybe
We're going to
we try
hunt
to-
it.
we're
We're going to
hunting
hunt it.
Personal.
Or are we going to hunt
Oh
it?
gosh.
Oh no, that's
Oh.
no, not when it's
Oh.
Thank you for helping us.
Okay.
I mean,
But you kind of had to.
yeah, I was just going to say, I know people got to live in the wilderness. That's why I live in the city.
Same. I like groceries.
Let's go shopping.
And you've got to feed the dogs, right? So you've
Yes.
got to give them some meat.
They love
It's nature. I get that. I
Just don't
choose,
like it.
I choose to live in concrete world.
Get that saran wrapped meat in there. That's what I want. I want to just know it's like this is meat. I mean, all of our meat looks like ham hocks.
I don't want to know how
Chicken,
it got here.
ham hock.
No. So there's no, it doesn't look like there's any type of like clear map. So is it obvious where you can and cannot go when you're sledding?
There will be like a node-based map.
Okay.
So that's not included in this demo right now, but it's more like, hey, do you want to head towards the forest? Do you want to head towards the river? Do you want to head towards the cliffs?
Okay.
And that changes a little bit of the distribution of the types of animals that you can find. As that all leads you towards the cabin. So there is a map that will be in this game. Right now, you're just kind of willfully like kind of going through the snow and enjoying that from there. But there'll be a slight strategic component where you're choosing to go and heading towards like different persistent items in the game.
There's some people in the chat saying it's reminding them of like Firewatch and the Long Dark.
Yeah.
Are those kind of things that you took inspiration from during it?
A little bit. We love stylized art. My art team worked with me on the King's Quest episodic series, so we come from like high art-driven story stuff. We really loved making sure we could stay in like the sunrise sunset palette. I don't know if you guys have been to like the north in the winter.
Nope.
But I spent some, when I was up in Iceland, it was just like sunrise and sunset for most of the day, tiny bit of blue, and then clearly darkness for the rest. So we wanted to kind of exaggerate what those kind of palettes were, but hitting that stylized component for what the world could be lets us have a lot more narrative freedom, as well as like animation freedom for a small team. Doing something in a hyper-realistic way is just too much work for us to be able to like keep up with the guys that can do that really well.
Well, and also it'd be too much to have hyper-realistic
Yeah, I also
doggos
don't like that.
if things are going to happen to them.
I don't think I could ever
No one
shoot
wants
that
to see that.
hyper-realistic elk. I have a hard enough time shooting that elk anyway. Like most of the time I don't. I've played through with our team, and I got to that, and that was like the event I had to do. I had to kill it to win. And I was like, I don't want to, guys. And they're like, you have to like finish the game. And I was like,
holding down the sled.
oh. And so ended up doing it, but it like became part of my player story, right? Like I was like, I wanted to get through without having to do that, but like the world sort of led me into that choice. And that's what I hope feels interesting to people, right? Where it's like, you're not making the choice strictly based on the narrative. You're making the choice based on what the world's kind of making you make the choice on.
Yeah.
And so The dogs can also help feed themselves, as we've just saw. There's some ptarmigans, which are these little sort of wintry bird things up in Alaska, and you can let the dogs go out and try to catch some. And if they catch them, they fill up their own energy meter, and you don't have to use a bullet or anything like that. You know, they find their own inner wild a little bit.
I'm so New York. I thought that was a pigeon.
Yeah, I mean it's basically like
You
a
don't get
fluffy,
pigeons.
it's a
Beautiful
fluffier
pigeon.
pigeon, fluffy pigeon.
I don't think you get pigeons in the wilderness
You'd
like
be
this.
surprised.
Stomach will be
Pigeons.
grumbling by morning.
They're a hardy
Yeah.
bird. Yeah.
Okay.
All
You
right.
can get through anything.
Everyone feeling better?
Sure.
And this is a question I'm very curious about. Is the meat hung because of bears?
It is hung because of
Back
bears.
on the trail?
See?
So you're not just a
I
city
could live
girl.
out- I could
you
live
know.
Yeah, you're ready. We've got some meat hung from on a string at our booth here too.
Do you
That's
really?
We bought like dog toy ham hocks and we strung them with meat.
Oh, I love that.
And we were like, this will be fun. And you know, this is still in development, so
Time
you'll
to
see a
get
lot
some
of
rest.
changes before we
I'm sure my
release later
stomach will
this
be
year.
grumbling.
So is that if you don't hang the meat
All
up,
right.
a
Everyone
bear
feeling better?
could arrive at your camp?
We force you to hang the meat up. We want to
Okay,
teach
good.
best practices here too.
Yeah, that's kind of like, you
Let's
kind of got to do
something
that.
else.
Bears will sniff out that kind of stuff, and then they're
Back on the
really
trail?
smart about it, from what I
Let's go,
understand.
Chopper.
So they
Uh-huh.
could like break into things too. They're no joke, bears.
Yeah, we're out in California, so our campgrounds all have like bear boxes, and I went up to Alaska to do some research, and lots of bear boxes there. We had to have bear training at this one place about like, if a bear comes onto the coast near us, we all have to get together and act really big, and we might use the bear spray. And I was like sitting in our tent one night, and you hear this guy's like, there's a bear, and I was like, oh my god. And I was just like standing, it was like a baby bear, it was far enough
You
away,
actually
but I was like,
food like
well, this is a horrifying situation.
Imagine.
Wow.
Have you ever seen a bear?
No.
Me neither.
No, I haven't seen
I've seen
a
a
bear.
really big rat.
That's close.
And to think it just
It's
knows
got
how to do
rabies.
this.
Right?
Knows how to
And they don't
survive.
care if you go at them.
No.
They don't care at all.
Because we did see in the trailer,
Come back.
there is a bear in the trailer.
There is a bear
And
in the trailer.
he is
Feel
not
really
nice to
close.
one of your dog friends.
He's not.
Let's go, Chopper.
So there's potential for you to lose some dogs along the way.
There's the potential for you to lose a dog along the way. There's one dog that can have a storyline that doesn't end well. You can very much prevent it. There are a couple of ways
Let's
to go
go.
about that, but there is a narrative arc where that can happen.
Is it clear how to avoid that?
Yes.
Yes.
At least I think so.
Okay, good.
When everyone's like knocking down my door, I'm like, I'm really sorry.
It wasn't
Chopper.
clear.
I should have tutorialized it more.
So when can we expect to see this
Okay.
in our lives?
It'll be later this year, so we're not announcing our full date until we're a little closer. We want to make sure we're like secure and through, all the bits and pieces. As we know, games are hard these days. But yeah, we'll be out
Wait,
later
is that
this
a
year. We'll
camera
do an
booth?
announcement trailer closer to the release. We're going to be on Switch, Epic Game Store, and Xbox Game Pass. So
Cool.
should be a good time.
Yeah, that's a good time.
We'll all go out in Alaska together and see what happens.
That's probably the closest I will get to going to Alaska.
That's that's fine for me.
It's pretty good up there, though.
I bet it's beautiful.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for bringing it
Yeah,
down.
thank
It
you
looks
guys.
amazing. I'm really
Seriously.
excited to play it.
Really
when it
appreciate
comes
the
out.
time.
It was great. That was the Red Lantern. We will be back in just a few minutes with some guys from Gearbox, and they're going to talk to us about Borderlands. So we'll see you then.
Bye, guys.
Hello and welcome back to the PAX 2020 PAX East live stream here in Boston. We're GamesRadar. Is that all the things I'm meant to be saying?
Yeah,
I don't
he
know
said
anymore.
it. Unless you want to give our exact longitude and latitude for people.
I'm going to find that out for tomorrow.
All
and
right,
then I'm
we'll
going
do
to add
that.
that in.
That'll
That's
be
what
tomorrow.
I'm going to do. We should introduce ourselves to people who have just tuned in. I am James.
I'm Alyssa.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Dan.
And you guys, Jonathan and Dan, are here to tell us about the Borderlands DLC
Sure.
that you was part of your panel yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You announced it. Nice, fancy new trailer.
We're incredibly excited about it. The trailer. Just turned out so well, and the
Yep.
response that we've gotten from people is overwhelmingly positive. So we're thrilled.
Okay. Well, you also announced. Actually, I was going to go into the questions, but just beforehand, you told us about a story from your stream yesterday.
Yeah.
That there was more than just your announcement.
No, love was in the air, and wedding proposals and marriage was all over the place. So we were thrilled. A couple weeks ago, a community member of ours had emailed and said, "I've been dating my girlfriend for a long time. We both love Borderlands. We love all your titles. I know that you guys typically do a PAX East presentation. Can I propose to her at PAX East on stage?" So we developed this entire structure to develop a thing that we can get them on stage under different pretense. And we started reading a letter that he wrote, and I'm like, "Wait, get up on stage, come on, let's talk." And they came up on stage, and then he took it over and proposed to his girlfriend. It was incredibly exciting.
And she said,
Yes.
Yes.
But there was a period there for like 7 seconds when she had her hands like this. I'm like, "Oh my God, please say yes, please say yes." And she did. She was just overwhelmed.
Oh, no.
That's too long to be thinking about that.
7
If that was
seconds.
me, I'd be like, why did it take 7 seconds for you to say yes or no?
We'd
Like,
be married 15 years. I'd be like, it took you 7
I
seconds.
know. You'd be like, what was going through your head
It's
then?
a long time.
I think she didn't know she was going to be on stage. There were probably 3,000 to 4,000 people.
That's a lot.
Tens of thousands of people were watching online, and just to be like, "Hey, come up on stage," it was a little overwhelming.
Already,
I
yeah,
get it,
that's. Oh my God, then the biggest question of your life.
That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty. Well, that's such a beautiful story.
It was great, and it was a good bookend and a great way to start off, especially when we start talking about the DLC and the wedding proposal that we've got and the marriage that we've got going on there.
Yeah, can you tell us more about that?
Sure, John.
Yeah, we're super excited to be announcing the new DLC coming out for Borderlands 3, Guns, Love, and Tentacles, the marriage of Wainwright and Hammerlock. That's going to be coming to all the fans on March 26th. So yeah, the reception has been great so far, and I can't wait to deliver this to the players.
I think a lot of people have been kind of looking forward to this. I mean, this is a great relationship in the first place. What made you want to center a big DLC around this?
So we just love those two characters so much that it made sense for us, and we knew that they were fan favorites as well. So from the get-go, we wanted to center the story about these two really important characters.
Yeah, and I think you can also just tell from the trailer that there's some big Lovecraft vibes here. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I won't go into too much details, but definitely there's a lot of Lovecraftian vibes going on, and we took inspiration from Eldritch horror as well. And one of the main things we wanted to do at the start is put the love back into Lovecraft. So what carried out the project from the beginning was the contrast between the theme of love and the Lovecraftian vibe. So, sorry. So what we did is we added this contrast in the environment we were building as well. So we're going to see those huge atmospheric landscape with fog going in the distance, obscuring the vision of the player. And then when you're going to go into the interiors, it's going to be darker, grittier, and there's going to be enemies lurking in the shadows to keep the player on the edge of his seat throughout his playthrough of the DLC. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, can you give us some insight into the gameplay, but you kind of just
Yeah, actually, one of the big pillars we went for this DLC was having an extensive bestiary of creatures and monsters inspired from Eldritch and Lovecraftian vibes. And if you've watched the trailer, you can notice there's a few, I don't want to give too much details, but we can notice that there's a set of woven enemies. They're going to be encircling the players and coming from different angles. And then there's going to be those critches that are more almost bug-like or really it's hard to describe, and it's part of the Lovecraftian vibe that they are hard to describe. They come in various shapes and size, and these guys will be swarming the player and coming out of those like pops and cankers almost. Yeah.
That's super interesting. And I'm curious, did you guys just want to have a setting like this kind of ice planet? Because I'm not really sure who would want to get married there.
Yeah, I don't think it's for everyone actually, but it makes so much sense for these guys. Hammerlock is an adventure at heart, so a frozen wasteland with the giant body of a Volt monster looming in the background is just a no-brainer for him. But on the other end, Wainwright, we know he's more like into comfort and everything, so he ended up finding this nice little lodge where he could just sit by a warm fire and sip his whiskey. So everyone is happy in the end, and it worked out.
Yeah, I would be the sipping whiskey in a warm lodge kind
Yeah,
of
I'm
person.
right there with you. I'm like, give me a fire and I'll be happy there.
Yeah, no creatures.
Not
please.
so much.
Keep me warm.
I don't want to fight a vault monster.
No, for my wedding?
Yeah.
For my manicure? No, we're not even going to get started on that. And you guys are bringing back a fan favorite.
Gage.
Yeah, in this DLC. Can you talk a little bit about the decision behind that? What's
Yeah,
Gage
sure.
doing?
We were just so thrilled to bring back Gage, and the reception from the fan has been overwhelming. Got so much positive feedback so far, and yesterday we were meeting and interacting with the fans, and they were all telling me about how thrilled they were that Gage was back. I don't want to spoil the story, so what I'll say as far like what she does in the DLC, you'll be able to fight alongside her and her robot friend BFF Deathtrap, and she's still the Gage you know and love from BL2, but at the same time she grew in between those games. She's not that teen that initially fled her home planet. She's actually this young adult, and you'll get to discover this new part of the character.
Yeah, she's gone from her dad's hot chocolate to margaritas now.
Yeah.
So that works out
Don't we
well.
all?
Yeah. Eventually, everybody makes it there.
And she's got quite a close relationship with Hammerlock.
Yeah,
right? So it kind of makes sense that she would be
Exactly.
involved in some way at the wedding.
Yeah.
You know, it's the biggest day of his life,
Yeah, it is.
obviously. So this isn't the first DLC or the only DLC that you guys will be coming out with. You guys have got a pretty cool roadmap that we're
Yeah.
looking at for the next few months. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I wish actually like
Just a baby bit.
So did you see the concept art for DLC that we released?
Yes.
I mean, that just looks fantastic, and I think that it gives you a good, at least a hint of what we're thinking about for DLC 3. That's obviously going to be coming out in the summer, and then we're really working around the story for DLC 4, but we're going to go ahead and hold off on talking about that for now.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, you guys are allowed to do that.
You know what? Would you invite us back if we exposed everything now?
Yes,
No.
yes, we would.
Yeah, of course. Of course we would.
Definitely.
Of
Carry
course we
on.
would.
We'll let you go. Well, I guess if we can't talk about that, we can talk about cross-play.
Sure.
and
That's a big thing.
Why that's important for you guys.
So that was another one of the big pieces of news that we released yesterday, and obviously a lot of people knew that we were going to be coming to bringing Borderlands 3 to Steam at some point, but the fact that we were able to finally announce, look, Friday, March 13th, you're going to go ahead and we're welcoming our Steam community back to Pandora, which I know a lot of people are excited about, and I think that the crossplay kind of caught people as a surprise, and a lot of people were not expecting the PC crossplay between Epic and Steam, but that's something we absolutely wanted to make happen. At Gearbox, as a general philosophical principle, we're all about bringing people together and spreading love, enjoyment, and happiness. And that was a big part of it, and making sure that we can go ahead and make sure that there's that PC crossplay element. And the fact that we could do that from day one is something that was really important to us.
Yeah, it's the spirit of love. You can go to a wedding together with your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
or
great
you
to
can
have.
stay at home and fight vault monsters.
Either one. Yeah, either one. Well, is it an open bar at this wedding? Do we know?
That's a really great question. We'll have to find
It's
out.
important,
Surely it
right?
is,
you'll have
right?
to you'll have to play to find out.
Oh, okay. I'm going to make this the first thing I'm going to check when I get there. Just steamroll through some monsters and
Yeah.
Go to the bar.
yeah,
Pick up some
straight to
drinks,
the bar.
see how that works.
Absolutely.
Fine. Okay. Yeah, so developing the crossplay, was that like a difficult, I mean, not in development terms, but doing that kind of organization of making sure that everyone was happy that that was happening?
You know, I think, I mean, if you take a step back and you look at it, the entire model is new when you think about the totality of the industry and how long we've been around. And so obviously there are going to be some elements that need to be ironed out and worked through. But making sure that the PC crossplay was something that was available was always a goal of ours, and it just takes a little bit of time. But the fact that we had it as a goal, the fact that we wanted to make that available as soon as possible, which is what we ended up doing, is just a commitment, is a tangible symbol of our commitment to the community, and that was just, anything is possible as long as you have a commitment to it, and that's what that was.
How was the feedback from the community when you guys announced that? I can imagine it was probably pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, people loved it. As soon as I got off stage and went back behind stage, I was looking through Twitter, and people were just thrilled that they can go ahead and start playing Borderlands 3 on Steam.
That's so great.
You've been here now, you've been meeting a lot of the fans. You had your panel yesterday. What's been like?
Yeah, I reek of Purell, so that's great.
I think we all do.
Gotta keep your hands
we all
sanitized.
do. I've been going up to my elbows with it.
Perfectly reasonable.
Right?
But what's been like the sort of most memorable sort of bits of fan feedback that you've got from like Borderlands 3 so far?
Yeah, I was in my hotel lobby Wednesday night, and I was just hanging out and messing around on my phone, reading email or something. And this little kid with his mom came up, and they were like, look, we play it together. Yes, it's an M-rated game, but his mom plays it with him, and it's just something that they bond over. And to see a teenager and his mother be able to bond over Borderlands, I'm like, that's a great story. And that really touches my heart, because that goes back to what we've been talking about, which is how can video games and how can Borderlands and how can our titles help bring people together and spark joy.
That's so sweet.
That's nice.
I want to get my mom to play Borderlands 3 with me.
Yeah, how's that going to go?
It won't work at all. No, she doesn't play video games.
My mom has a hard time with YouTube, so
yeah,
these are the trade-offs you have.
Yeah, I don't think I can get my mom to play it. She still calls me sometimes asking how to send a picture. Someday.
Just print it out, put it in an envelope.
Put it in the post, you'll get it in 3 to 4 days.
And that's how you post a picture.
Yeah, it does.
That's fine.
I hope she's watching. No, she wouldn't know how to do it.
No, exactly. You'd have to be there.
She's going to text me like I was watching.
You're going to get yourself in trouble now.
I know. Well, that's usually what happens.
Can we talk a little bit more about the gameplay and the things that you're going to be doing in this DLC then? Well, how does it start? Like how does it start? Time periods? Where are we?
Do you just get on the planet and it's like
from the get-go, you're gonna notice that things are gonna turn south, and it's as much as we're willing to say right now. And we're gonna get other opportunities to show more of the gameplay and to give more into give the players more of the story as we approach the release date. But for right now, I think that's enough. We know that there's a wedding going on, that they're having their engagement party, and that things are going to go south in some ways.
Oh my gosh, is someone going to be a groomzilla?
You're going to ruin it, aren't you?
No.
That's what you're going to do. You're going to rock up.
No, I'm just curious. I mean, if everything starts to go south and it's right before your wedding, you might start to get a little stressy.
But that's interesting. Which one do you think it would turn into the groomzilla?
The one that... Wainwright.
Kind of feel like that.
Yeah, I mean, if comfort, I feel like Hammerlock would be like, well, just roll with it. Well, the monsters are invited; they could come. Wainer would be like, no, they can't come here. They're leaving.
Ruining the plans.
They're leaving yuck all over. I think it's great. I think it's great that you guys have these two characters that have this relationship. Yep. I think it's just an important thing to put out there for people in general, and then to have a DLC around it and have it be Lovecraftian and dramatic, and it's kind of spot on.
Yeah. And you know what I think is remarkable, and I don't want to get political about this, but I think what's interesting is that this is the first time that you've had a wedding between two people of the same gender, and this high profile, and everybody's just like, okay, yeah, what's the gameplay, what's the story, and everybody is just completely blowing through the fact that we've broken through and now have same-sex marriage in a video game at this high level, and everybody's like, okay. I think that's great. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's incredible.
And from a marketing perspective, when we're talking about the game, that's not something that we're diving into or stressing, because we're just like, yeah, everybody gets married.
Yeah, and I can talk about the development side of things. Like, we never actually addressed anything of it. It's a story about two people who love each other, and we just push forward with this amazing story.
It's so natural and real, and I mean, if you even look them up,
Mm-hmm.
There's like YouTube videos of the compilation of their relationship and stuff. It's just really sweet.
Yeah, and last night we had a team dinner to celebrate the panel, and I was sitting next to David Wald, and I'm like, please do the voice as you order drinks. I just want to hear it one more time.
It's such a voice, right? It's such a voice.
It's fantastic. So were you able to see the read-through that we did yesterday?
No.
It was fantastic. So we
great.
had David Wald and Jeremy on stage with Randy playing Crazy Earl. We had a Psycho on stage, and they did an entire probably 7-minute skit. And it was a great read-through, and the audience, both online and in the theater, loved it. So highly encourage everybody to watch
we're gonna
that.
check it
Yeah,
out.
so we missed it, but if anyone else watching missed it, where do we go to?
So you can go to our YouTube channel, go to Gearbox on YouTube and watch it there, or you can go to our Twitch channel and watch it there as well.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Exciting.
Well, that's really good. Is there anything we haven't covered that you want to tell the fans about?
Well, usually the fans are really excited about loot.
Everyone's excited
and
about
I really
loot.
try.
Give me the loot.
Yeah, everyone wants the loot, and I try to stay away from it as much as possible.
But you're not going to right now.
Exactly. We had this tidbit of information we were really willing to share today. Is if you love Gage, we got a weapon that is coming for you that you're gonna love.
That's it?
Yeah. So
That is the tiniest tip.
I love it. We're going to go near it, but we're just going to graze it. There's a weapon Okay, and it's coming with the DLC.
It is.
Okay.
It's coming with the DLC, and I'm gonna let the fans figure out whatever it is and spin those amazing stories until release.
Oh, we're going to see what
it's
people have to say.
tempting.
Yeah,
It's
it really
tempting,
is.
isn't it? Oh, a new weapon. A new weapon?
Yeah, we got new weapons coming up for the DLC as well as powerful class mods. So yeah, players can expect those things.
Awesome. And when can they expect those things?
On March 26th.
March 26th. It's coming up.
It's coming up. It's not
Springtime
Clear your
Lovecraft
schedules
wedding.
now.
soon. A month to go, almost.
Yeah.
Got to save the date.
Save the date
That comes-
for the wedding.
You would have gotten that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have had that by now.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
That'd be quite rude if
people
you got to
might
save
be-
the date a month.
Just cancel all your
Like, I'm
holidays.
busy.
That's just almost a non-bite at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like someone's dropped out and you have to fill up
By
a
the way-
table, and you're like,
I already paid for the plate.
guys, can you come? Because otherwise we've paid for the catering. It's going to be weird.
Can we? I know you might not be able to say. Could we expect to see any other guests that we might be excited for?
I'm not saying anything about
Okay.
this.
So you
fair.
were shaking your head like no, like
Don't
no
go
one else
there.
is
Don't-
invited.
no one else.
No guests.
Oh,
Great.
that's so exciting, yeah?
Yeah, it's really exciting. About a month to go, and we'll all be able to play it.
Absolutely, and so we're excited about the DLC on March 26th. We're excited about Borderlands 3 coming to Steam on March 13th, and want to encourage everybody to go to. If you go to Steam right now, you can add Borderlands 3 to your wish list, and then you'll get notification for preload on March 13th.
Oh, it's like a wedding wish list.
Yeah.
See?
You can be registered for all of these things. That sounds fantastic.
I just came up with that right there.
Do that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
make sure
brilliant.
you put that on the TikTok things that you've come up with.
Yeah,
just
I've
in
done a
case.
lot.
If we see that
today.
appearing in like a week,
You could add that to your LinkedIn
Okay.
as your capabilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Came up with wedding wish list.
Yeah, I mean, you've done a lot for tomorrow as well for the stream. There were some other things that we can talk about when,
Well,
when
what
we
can
get
I
onto
say?
that.
You know, I'm a busy woman.
Yeah, there's a lot to do here. Guys, thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
down.
Thank you
we
for
really,
having us.
really
Yeah.
appreciate it. March is going to be a big month for you guys.
Absolutely.
That's exciting. It's a lot to look forward to.
Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to coming back.
Yeah, absolutely, guys.
All right.
100%.
Absolutely. Well, that about wraps up our stream here today at PAX here on GamesRadar. But come back tomorrow because we've got lots to do. Starting at 11 a.m., we've got GTFO, we've got Man-Eater, Boyfriend Dungeon, and your new best friend.
Felicia Day. I call her Felicia.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does she know that?
Yeah, she does.
Okay, cool.
100%.
Yeah, well, she does
I mean,
now.
obviously.
So,
Let me just text her really quick. And let her
Yeah, sure. You
By the
get-
way, you go by Felicia now. But yeah, it's Saturday. What else are you going to do? Come
yeah,
on.
Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. That's sometime in the night in UK. I haven't worked out.
Don't
when
do that
is.
math in your
No,
head.
I'm not going to.
No, I don't want to watch you sweat.
Okay, no, not till not till tomorrow morning when we're back on air. Guys, thank you once again for coming down. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.